Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel and welcome to sprints tonight. Tonight, our sprints are going to be definitely shorter than normal. I do have a book club tonight in person, and we are going to be discussing the book club for troublesome women. And I am trying to finish up reading that book, so I'll be listening to it. It's my turn to host tonight. That means I'm in charge of refreshments. So during the first sprint, I will be getting that stuff ready and packed up. Thank you for joining me tonight. We will be doing shorter sprints of about 30 minutes for each one. And I hope to get in 30-minute sprints tonight. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I'm reading the book club for troublesome women, and that's by Marie Bostwick. It's the book that I chose for my live book club discussion. And I'm excited to discuss it. So this was my second time reading it. I still have a little bit to go, but I should be able to finish listening to it while I prep the refreshments for tonight's live book club. I'm going to be making some salami rolls with cream cheese and pepperoni, and some sliced cucumber with a ranch dip, some grapes, and some bruschetta, and then just water to drink. So that's what I will be prepping during the first sprint. I'm excited to finish listening to this book and to discussing it. It's a great one for discussion. I think even if you don't agree with with not the themes, but with the premise that the author is putting down, I think that it still will be a really good discussion tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's see who we have out there. Today we have Morgan. Hi, Morgan. She is reading Hidden Places by Lynn Austin. I don't think I've read anything by Lynn Austin. I don't think. Let me look up what her books are quick. And we'll see. Is this for the suspense, keep me in suspense readathon? I'm wondering. I'll look that up as my computer gets me signed in. Hello, Living with the Leals. Are you Amy, I think? Let me know. She says, hello, I'm reading Leota's Garden. Your snacks sound good for your group. I think so. We usually do like simple snacks, which I like, but also I love a theme. So I almost, because they're having like book club meetings in the book, and one of them describes the snacks that she put together for their meeting. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should have done that. And then my other thought was, I have these plates that I remember that my grandmother and her group of friends would use when they would like get together, where it was like a sandwich plate. Have you guys heard of that? Where it's like a crystal, almost oval shape, and then it has like a little spot where the punch cup would go. So you would have like a sandwich and punch and serve it on that little thing. So I almost thought of doing that, taking those over there, because I do have a set of those, and it's kind of from the era. The book takes place in the late 60s, and I think my grandmother probably had those in the 70s that I remember. So I thought that might be fun, but I'm not serving punch. It's just I just have like water, so I don't think it would be as appropriate, I think. So I have some just some square disposable plates where they can put their snacks on. Let's see here. I'm still trying to sign in to Goodreads to find out about your book, Morgan. And let's see. And Amy says, yes, Amy. Good. I remembered. Morgan says, I'm not using it for that readathon. I'm just reading it because I enjoy Lynn Austin and I haven't read this one yet. Oh, that's nice. Oh, no. It's trying to get me to create an account. So I won't. We will skip that. And Jeanette's here. Hey, Jeanette. Let me mute that. And Annie's here. She says, hello, everyone. I'm reading Babysitters at Shadow Lake by Anne Martin. How fun is that? And Tanya's here. Hey, Tanya. She says, hey, everyone. I'm reading Love Overboard by Shannon Sue Dunlap. That sounds fun. I'm so happy for sprints, and I'm sorry I canceled them last week. I was under the weather, and I was also trying to get ready for a short camping trip. We were leaving Friday night and coming back home Sunday, and we went to the El Dorado National Forest, which is not too far from here. It's the area that we camped at is an area that we've camped out at before, not that part. So in the El Dorado National Forest, it's like a big, big area. There's one road. I don't know if the road's called Ice House, but the general area is called Ice House, and then there's campgrounds within that. So you take a road, and then you could detour off to different campgrounds going all the way up. I think the last one is Desolation. We camped at Sunset, which is really cool because there is a reservoir, man-made lake there. I think that one's one of the man-made ones because there's some like natural lakes and creeks and springs and stuff. But I think the one that we were at was a man-made one, and they do allow motorcrafts, so boats and like jet skis and things like that there. But from the shore, the sunsets are incredible. So that was a lot of fun. I love tent camping. That particular area also has, you can RV camp there. I don't think that they have like hookups for the RVs, but you can run a generator up until 10 at night. Luckily, where we were at, there weren't any RVs around us. Everybody was tent camping, but there were a couple of competing campsites that were playing their music very loudly. It was really funny because we had some like Spanish hymns going on at one campsite, and then we had some classic rock going on in the other campsite, and they were just kind of like alternating. So we could hear Sweet Home Alabama and then a Spanish version of Hallelujah. So it was crazy. I don't have any problem falling asleep when there's noise. So when I was tired, I went to my tent, went right to sleep, and then I heard later, how late the music kept going. Annie says, my mom had a melamine picnic set with those plates and a place for your cup. I have an orange melamine chip bowl we had throughout my childhood. Yeah, those are really cool. So the ones that I have, I think they're up on a high shelf, so I can't pull one up. They're like crystal. They're about like this size, and they're kind of offset. So it has like a little pattern that kind of like swirls. So it's not quite a straight oval. It's kind of like a crooked oval. And then one side has like the little spot for the punch cup, which I also have punch cups that go with it. But they just are so retro and excuse me, really remind me of like when my grandmother would get together and visit her friends, and they would like, it was so formal compared to like when I hang out with my friends. So it was like you'd come, you'd everybody be sitting down, they'd bring out the refreshments, you chat and whatever. Everybody was polite. Like I would go with my grandmother sometimes, and I had to just like sit on the couch and be quiet because this was her time to chat with her friends. And then it would like be over and everybody would leave. And she would do that, I don't know, once a month or whatever at different places. But yeah, so I have those luncheon plates, and they do feel a little fancier um, than like when I get together with my friends. We're like paper plates. Yeah, it's crazy. But this book, because it takes place in the early 60s. For some reason, I was thinking late 60s, but it's the early 60s because it was before the assassination of JFK. Um, and yeah, it just seemed like the types of desserts that they were making, like bundt cakes and things like that, are so nostalgic to me. I was not around in the early 60s, or even when I thought that book was in the late 60s. But that was still happening when I was a child, where people were doing pineapple upside down cake, different bundt cakes, and, the molded jello salads. That all was still happening when I was growing up. And Hannah says, "Hi, I'm feeling the start of sickness today. Pray it goes away." Yes, let's pray for sickness to leave us all alone. Hannah was planning a birthday party for her son who turns 1 on Saturday. Amazing. Well, happy birthday to your baby boy. And Annie says, "Your snack plate sounds so pretty." I like them. You can find them probably even now, like at thrift stores, because they were like very popular. I feel like my grandma used to go to bingo at the Women's Institute, and I'm pretty certain that they had like a set there. So I think that was just kind of like the generic, how everybody had the same kind of mixing bowls. I think everybody back then had those kind of snack plates. So you can find a lot of them at the thrift stores, and most of the time with their little matching cups. And Hannah is also listening to Leota's Garden, and you are at 88%. Amazing. Are you guys doing a buddy read, or is that just a coincidence? Or is that one like for a read along? Annie says, "I read your book and liked it, except for the author of the book had non Christian views. I love books about 60s and 70s too." Are you talking about the book club for troublesome women? Yeah, I agree. I did buy it from Baker Bookhouse. Uh, I'm pretty sure. Let me get it over here. Scoop myself on the couch. It's this one here. And I did buy this I'm pretty sure I bought it from Baker Bookhouse. It's Harper Muse, so I don't think that's like a strictly Christian publisher. But yeah, and I was thinking this second time around that I was reading it, um, that a lot of the issues that the ladies were having, um, if they had been um, like more church going as a family, that 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 might have helped the relationships that were in here. But yeah, I still liked it. I thought it was very interesting. I'm really looking forward to the discussion today. All the ladies in my book club are church women. They go to church. They're very faithful. So I think I'll be interested to know what their take on it was. But yeah, so I did enjoy it, and I did think a lot more when I read it the first time. And as I read most books for the first time, I'm reading it for the story and to see what happens. But since this was a reread for me, I took more time thinking about the different relationships and like maybe what the author was trying to get across, and what my feelings were versus what I felt like the author was putting out there. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think this is a good book for discussion. There were a couple of things in there that also surprised me, but it wasn't it wasn't really graphic. It wasn't there weren't there wasn't language that I recall at all. Um, yeah, so I would say definitely this is a clean book, but I wouldn't say that this is like Christian fiction, even though, like I said, I bought it at Baker Book House. And Hannah says it's for Oshina's book club. Yeah, I thought that it might be. And Annie says, I mean, the author of the book they are discussing who is a real person. Oh, that author. Yeah, I read The Feminine Mystique when I was in my 20s, and it was fine. I don't think it impacted me the way it seemed to impact the women in this, the fictional women in this book club. Uh, Obviously, times had changed by the time I was in my 20s. From when they were reading the book, it was decades later, and things had changed. Um, and Annie says, sorry, I meant the author of the book in their book club. Yeah, Betty Friedan. She was an advocate of pro-choice and was a real person, right? Um, but yeah, so I did read that book by her. And again, it was interesting, but I don't feel like it was life-changing the way that book appeared to be in the book for those women. And Katrina says, listening to Taliesin, a historical fantasy retelling of King Arthur. Very cool. And Naomi's here. Hey, Naomi. She says, hello, everyone. Well, Naomi, I think you might be just in time for our first sprint. We're going to do 30-minute sprints today. I know I normally do 40, but I wanted to try to get in 3 sprints tonight. And then I need to also prep the refreshments for my book club tonight. Naomi says, not sure what I will be reading, but in a mood slump, so I'm hoping reading brings me out of it. Naomi, what type of books do you enjoy? We'll see if anybody can suggest something for getting you out of your slump. I love cozy mysteries when I'm feeling slumpy, usually because they're shorter than other books that I like, historical fiction and things like that. They're usually just a little over a couple hundred pages, so they're a quicker read. Speaking of cozy mysteries and quicker reads, I started reading Cruel World by Monica Ferris. It's the first book in the Needlecraft Mystery series. I started reading that about a week and a half ago or something. And guys, I'm like on book 9 now because I have them all on audio and I've been listening to them, and not even at like double speed or anything, just at regular 1 speed. But they're just so quick. And because I was traveling to get to the campsite and traveling back home, I was listening to books. I actually didn't listen while I was out camping. I did some knitting, I did some reading in my Kindle, and yeah, knitting and reading, and then out on the water. But I didn't listen to any audiobooks. I was really enjoying being out in nature and listening to the birds and watching the squirrels, and not at night. I did not like that. But during the day, it was fun to watch them scurrying around. All right, guys. Let us get our first reading sprint started. We're going to go for 30 minutes, so that will put us at 50. I'll get the banner up and I'll get our ambiance started. And we'll see you back at 50 after. Welcome back, friends. That was the end of our first sprint. We should have enough time maybe for 2 more sprints, depending on how much we chat. So let's see what we have going on in the chat. I got my stuff to do the salami rolls. I still have to shake up the bruschetta mixture and find something to pack the stuff in. The cucumbers I still need to slice, and I have some individual little cups that I'm going to be putting some of the ranch dip in. So I still have work to do during the next sprint, but let's see how everyone else did. I'm almost done with my book, so I'm really happy about that. I might have time in the final sprint to tab some stuff for discussion. Which I should have been doing as I was listening, but I didn't take my book to work today. So plus, I was working while listening, so I couldn't have tabbed it up. But yeah. Let's see how everyone else did. Naomi says, so I read numerous books at once. Right now I'm working on Cheaper by the Dozen, Whistler by Ann Patchett. Let me know how you like that one. I'd love to read Cheaper by the Dozen. Is that what the movies were based on? Anne of Avonlea, love. And this book made me think of you, Leota's Garden, and The Road to Paradise. Wow, that is a lot. Were you just like reading a chapter, reading until you were ready to move on to the next one? Let me know. Katrina, hi, says that's a lots of books, Naomi. Maybe if you focus on one tonight, do a paragraph in a book. If it doesn't catch you, move on to the next until one does. Just a suggestion. And Annie says, I agree that the feminine mystique was helpful to a lot of women. My mother and her best friend went to college at night and got careers after reading it. They each had 5 kids at the time. Yeah, that was one of the ladies in the fictional ladies in the book had a lot of kids. And another one went back to, I think maybe 2 of them went back to school. But yeah, I'm sure that it had a big impact on so many women and women in our own lives. And Andrea says, just got back from the library, returned a couple of movies, and then bought a bunch in a flash sale where they were 5 for $1. Oh my goodness, can't beat that except for freebies. That's for sure. And Andrea says, we'll be finishing The Bride Blunder by Kelly Eileen Hake tonight, about 100 pages to go. Nice. And Andrea got to page 189. Jeanette is being awesome, working on getting a video ready to upload. Annie got to 20%. Jane did work on getting her video uploaded. Morgan read 15 pages. Katrina made it to 25%. And Tanya says, I ate a piece of sourdough with peanut butter and maple syrup. That sounds good. Fed the cats, gave one of my cats medicine, and then read a few pages. Is your cat that you gave medicine to, is that something that's temporary or is that something that's ongoing? I cat sat for a couple of cats, 3 cats, and one of them, her name was Mia. She had to have a daily medication long term. And so when I was cat sitting, I had to make sure to get her little pill down her throat, which is not easy. So let me know, Tanya, what's going on with your cats. Mine were kind of hovering around as I was in the kitchen, chopping things and getting things done. But they've been pretty good since I've got home. So let's cross our fingers that it stays that way so that I can finish getting my refreshments ready. I forgot to I bought like the little water bottles and I forgot to put them in the fridge this morning. So hopefully they'll be cool enough. I think as long as they're below room temperature, it'll be fine. Tanya says Pepe has asthma and takes a prednisone in the morning and albuterol morning and night. Wow. Poor little baby. Oh, Pepe. Tanya's cats are so cute, guys. If you follow her on Instagram, you can get you can get little views of them. They are so sweet. All right. So before we went to Sprints, I was talking about going camping, and it was really great. And I wish that I could go camping again this weekend. I just really love it. I'll show you guys the reservoir. I don't know if you can see that. That's the reservoir. It looks so nice. The water was great. And just a couple more pictures. This was just looking up from our camp, so you can't see the color of it, but it was very nice. And I don't know if you'll be able to even see it in this picture, but lots of tall trees. And over here, it's where the water is. So you'd go through these trees and then you'd be down at the beach for the water, which was really nice. Everyone had a great time. I went with my cousin and her husband, her kids, well, a couple of her kids. This is them, and they're on a jet ski that Kaylee, it's my niece, her boyfriend, has that jet ski. And so he was letting everyone ride it, giving everyone rides. I did not go on the jet ski, but he did have I kept calling it the couch because it was kind of round shaped, but it had 3 seats or seat backs around the back. And then it had like individual like grips so you could hold on to it. So he took 3 of us out at a time on there, and it was a lot of fun. But he wanted to, like, when he took the younger kids, so my nephew and his girlfriend and then my niece, he was like fishtailing them. So he'd like take the jet ski and then he'd like turn real quick, and so they'd like swing out, and he's like, "Are you going to get on there?" And I was like, "No, not if you're going to do that." And he's like, "Oh, but it's so fun." And I was like, "No, I'm not like a thrill seeker and I don't want to do that." He's like, "Well, Auntie Em, if you come on, I won't do that." He's like, "I have to go at a certain speed. Otherwise you guys kind of like tip back. So I have to go at a certain speed for you to be sitting up." But he's like, "I promise I won't like fishtail you and be wild." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So I got on it, and it was so fun, so fun. And because we were in the wake of the jet ski, we were like kind of bouncing. And there was like, he hit some rough water, and then the rough water plus the jet ski wake, we were like, boom, boom. But man, it was so fun. And he wasn't wild. He just kept, very smooth lines. But yeah, I had a blast. And it was actually my niece that texted me, and she's like, "Do you want to go camping with us?" And I jumped on it because I haven't been camping all this year. So yeah, it was awesome. Tanya says, "So pretty." Andrea says, "Lovely. Thanks for sharing your trip with us." And Annie says, "Glad you enjoyed your trip." Yeah. And guys, that is like one of the great things about living in California. That one area where we go camping at, that one that we were at last weekend had 100 plus like camp areas. So there was like, and they're like situated around that lake. So there was like 1 to 39, and then 40 to 79 or something like that, and then 80 to like 100 and something. So there's lots of areas, and that was just one campground. And going all up that mountain, there's more campgrounds, and that's not the only mountain. There's other mountains in the area too, in that national forest, and it's not that far. So from where I am, it is about 2.5 hours. But from my cousin's house, and that's just because of traffic. From my cousin's house, she lives about 16 miles away from me. It was about an hour and a half. So it's close. And so it is something that you can do, without having to take a lot of time to get there and get back, because it's that close. So I really enjoy that. What have you guys done this summer that you've really enjoyed? Let me know. And we are right at 6 o'clock. So let us start that next sprint, and then maybe we'll be able to do one more sprint after that. So we'll see you back in half an hour. Happy reading or whatever else you're going to be doing during this sprint. I will finish prepping my refreshments, I hope, and then freshen up my makeup so that I'm ready to go after the next sprint. All right, we'll see you back at 30. We are back, friends. How did everyone do that sprint? I got my salami rolls all done and packaged up, ready to go. I gathered up all the other things that I'm going to be taking. So, yeah, all that's left now is to just get everything by the door and take it out to the car. Yeah. And Annie says, my husband and I were going to start camping when we lived in California. We visited a couple, but it was too noisy with the music for me. I wanted a deep woods, quiet type of camping. We have in that same area, we have experienced that, Annie. In Southern California, too. I've camped at Big Bear, and that was very quiet. Um, and here where we were at, not Sunset, because I think that attracts like a lot of younger people that have like the motor boats and the jet skis. So I think that they're more like a partying crowd. We've gone farther up the mountain. One of my favorite places up there is called also has like a nice, that's a natural water kind of lake that opens up from the creek. And that one, there's no motor boats. Why can't I say that? Or ski jets allowed. Nothing with a motor. Jet skis. So just paddle boards, canoes, things like that. And that is a much quieter camping area. There was one time that there was an RV there, and they had their generator going. Into the quiet hours. But other than that one time, that has been a very, very quiet place that I love to camp at. And Andrea read a bunch of books this summer. Awesome. I loved, did you guys all do the library summer reading programs? I loved those. I think the first one I participated in was in 1977, and it was all like Star Wars themed. So we had a big oversized R2D2 that was built out of like cardboard and foil and things like that, and it had like two little benches in there. And so when you would go, when I was little, the summer program, you had a little card that the library kept that had your name on it, and then they would enter the book that you were reading, and then you'd come back and report on the book, and then they would check it off. And so when you did your report was inside that R2D2. Yeah, so that was like so fun. And every year, those summer programs have a theme. I think ours this year at my local library has something to do with dinosaurs, which is just really fun. I think it's so great to encourage reading during the summer. Bethany's here. Hey, Bethany. She says, hi, everyone. Andrea saying hi to Bethany. Pamela, welcome in. Finished reading her book, Dead Fall by Nancy Mayle, and I'm excited to read the next one in this series. I love it when you start a series and then have to immediately go to the next book in series. I love that so much. Monique, hi, welcome in. She says, hello, everyone. And Andrea says, great job, Pamela, and hi, Monique. And Monique says, love the reading bunnies, so cute. Aren't they adorable? There's like bunnies, there's a fox, I think there's an owl, I think there's some badgers, all on that person's channel. It's so, so fun. And Monique is saying, hey, Andrea, my friend. Andrea got to page 202 and says, great job, M. Morgan read 14 pages. Jeanette, oh my goodness, wrote 2 reviews, got her video uploaded, and read a few pages. Reviews are just like weighing on me because that was one of my goals for this year, was to write a review for every book that I read that was published within the last 5 years, and that has turned out to be a lot of books. And I think I've only wrote one review so far this year. So I'm going to have to tweak that goal. I do want to do something like that for next year, but I think I'm going to shorten the time frame of like when they were published, so maybe like within the last year. And then I just really need to set aside some time to do that because I am not good about writing reviews when I finish a book like Jeanette is. And Katrina says 28%. Hope you have a good book club tonight. I hope so too. And I think we're going to get through the comments and then start the final sprint. Where we're having it, the lady whose house we're having it at lives maybe about 10 minutes away from here, but I still have to get everything into the car. And I wanted to be there before we start at 7:30 just to be able to set things out. So I'm going to have to leave probably exactly in 30 minutes. So let's get through some comments here and we'll start our final sprint. And if it's okay with you guys, we'll do a 25-minute sprint just so that I make sure that I can wrap things up and get out of here on time. Andrea says, when I was a kid, yes, that was my favorite thing of the summer back then. Yes, and my library used to give prizes. And I know one year I won a trip to Magic Mountain along with like a handful of other kids that you had to read a certain number of books to earn that trip. Tanya got a couple of chapters read. Bethany got settled into our hotel room, Bethany the Traveler, ready to read a little bit and then get some sleep. I hope you have a very relaxing evening, Bethany. And Monique said, love those summer reading programs growing up. Yeah. And Tanya's asking, hey, Bethany, how was the second bookstore? Annie got to 28%. Good job, Annie. Bethany says, Tanya, it was so cute. We ended up going to 4 bookstores today. Amazing. And Tanya says, our local library did the dinosaur theme this year. Maybe that's like something that the Library Association like sets out, because Jamie the Kansan reader, her library also had dinosaur theme this year. And Andrea says, great job, everyone. Absolutely. And Jeanette said, my goal was to get a review for each book read within a month of reading, and I'm still working on July's book. Well, you're still like way far and ahead of me. Jeanette says she's really fallen behind this year. And Andrea says, yep, that sounds perfect, Em. Whatever you need to do. All right. My goodness, we are having a lot here. And Bethany says, just leave your camera on. I'm sure Humphrey will entertain us. Probably so. And Tanya says, wow, Bethany, that's awesome. Yes, I don't even know if there's 4 bookstores that I could get to in a day around me. Well, if you count like Barnes & Noble, but Barnes & Noble, Half Price Book, but independent bookstores, I think there's only one close-ish to me. Andrea says, wow, all we got was little toys and games and some amazing books to take home to keep. I can't imagine doing a trip like that for summer reading. We did get like bookmarks and other things like that. Like the goal to get that trip to Magic Mountain was like a ton of books, maybe like, I'm going to say like 50, maybe 25, but it was like a lot. So it wasn't like a lot of people were earning that. And Monique says, fun to hear the mention of Magic Mountain. I frequented that park as a kid, grew up in SoCal. Yeah, it was one of my favorite places to go. And Tanya says, Bethany, Humphrey is a star. Well, I'm not sure if he'll make an appearance, but I will leave the camera on. I'm going to go get all my stuff packed up, and I will see you guys back in 25 minutes. So that'll put us at 5 after. See you soon. We are back from our final sprint. Thank you all for joining me. Let's see how everyone did. I got my car packed, so I just need to take myself and my books. So tonight, in addition to discussing this book, we're also going to discuss this book because something happened and we were not able to meet last month. So this is a secondary discussion that we'll be having tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, all my stuff is in the car. I just need to take myself, my wallet, and my books. And so let's get through some comments here and we'll finish up for this short sprint session. Bethany just finished Leota's Garden. It was really good. On a scale of 1 to 5, Hannah, like how sad is it? And Andrea says, great job, Hannah. It is a great job. And Andrea's asking which book is up next for you. And Hannah says, all right, everyone, help me choose my next audio, Where the Heart Leads by Kim Vogel Sawyer, a historical fiction set on the prairie, or Don't Keep Silent by Elizabeth Goddard, a romantic suspense. Well, I think I do enjoy romantic suspense, but I think I'm more a historical fiction person. So that's my vote, Where the Heart Leads. And Andrea says, I always vote for KVS. And Andrea says, fell in love with her writing with My Heart Remembers and recommend that particular book to everybody. Thank you. And Andrea got to page 234. Tanya's also recommending Where the Heart Leads. And Andrea says, hope you have fun, Em. I am sure I will. I always do. These ladies that are in this book club are just, they're just wonderful. They all have great hearts, and we do have a good time. Katrina got to 31%, and Jeanette read 23 pages in Beside the Dead. Annie says, enjoy your book club. Thank you. And Annie got to 34%. And Tanya says, thank you for the sprints. Have fun tonight. Thank you. I certainly will. And I am going to take off now. Again, thank you all for joining me. Next week will be a regular size sprints. So I hope you can join me for that. And everyone have a great night and a great week until I see you next time. Bye.